someone who's made a big difference to that country.
And you were very fortunate. You've met the Queen on numerous occasions. You had some quite intimate moments with her, didn't you?
Yeah, and I do. I feel very fortunate to have done that. I mean, we talk about this now. She is such an icon for the world as well as the United Kingdom. But she, you don't ever, growing up, although she's been this constant through all her life, I didn't expect to ever meet her personally, and never mind sort of a few different meetings. I was obviously part of the British Olympic team for many years, and she always very generously hosted the Olympic and the Paralympic team, usually after the games. Either she had events up at Holyrood, in Edinburgh, down at Buckingham Palace, garden parties within the palaces itself, and it's such a huge moment. I think people who compete for the nation and compete under that Union flag and sing God Save the Queen at every sort of sporting event, to actually then meet, the woman for real, and to be able to have conversations with her, it's a huge moment and a huge event.
What was it like? What was she like when you chatted to her?
Always engaging, always interested. As many people have said, I think she's got this. She had this incredible gift of relating to people. Somehow, despite the world and the life she inhabited, could somehow feel relatable to athletes from any background, any walk of life, any sort of part of the country, and she could connect and relate and make people feel very comfortable. She, we talk very famously now, did have a sense of humour and was just interested in people and engaged. And I think, obviously 10-year anniversary this year of the 2012 games, and she had such a strong role during the 2012 Olympic opening ceremony and during the games itself, and a big presence at that time. And I think, speaking to athletes not just from our own team but around the world, there was a huge moment when we saw her meeting the James Bond moment, when she jumped out the airplane. When you talk to athletes from all other nations, they were thinking, this is an incredible country that has someone who is the head of state and would do that. And because it was the fun element, it was the getting involved, taking part, and sort of celebrating the whole event.
Well, to have the confidence to do that. In so many other countries, a sense of humour and head of state don't go together. But that was a wonderful, wonderful moment. It was a total surprise that evening in the Olympic Stadium. I remember sitting there surrounded in the press box, surrounded by journalists from all over the world. They were all a bit confused by a lot of this sort of fabulous Danny Boyle show. They couldn't quite work out what was going on. And suddenly, oh my goodness, it's James Bond, it's the Queen, this is Britain. And the headlines the next day, as many headlines around the world were, some said, Olympic Games open in London. I think rather more said, Queen jumps out of helicopter with James Bond.
Like we don't think we'll ever see again. It really was an iconic time for the country, and as you say, I think
she was such a part of it, wasn't she? And as her family had been, she had actually, on the night of that opening ceremony, she held a reception at Buckingham Palace for all the world leaders. And there was a sort of stunned silence when she reminded everyone this was the third time her family had opened a London Olympics, because no city had had 3 before.
Well, as we see all these people lining the streets there, lining the route to the airport for a last glimpse of Her Majesty's coffin, a personal chance to say their goodbye. Let's just take a moment to hear some more personal recollections about the Queen from some of those people whose lives she did touch.
I am the Secretary stroke Chairperson of the Glasgow branch of the Association of Wrens. 2016. That was the 70th anniversary of the branch being formed, and it was decided that perhaps we would try to take some of the elderly group to the garden party at Holyrood Palace. Eventually, a letter came back saying that the Queen was very, very interested to meet the ex-Wrens because they had served, like herself, during the war. She spoke to every single one of them, and once they got over their nervousness, I think they just spoke to her as though she was a member of the group. They had something in common, that they were all in uniform. They were just so happy, and I think that was a highlight, the whole highlight of their day.
My MB was given to me for raising money and looking after women and children. It was one Saturday. In the morning, a letter came through, and when I opened it, I was screaming. I said to my daughter-in-law, I said, look at it. And then she said, Mommy, you got MB, you got MB. Then my husband took it. Oh, they were so happy. So I went, and when we entered, I saw Prince Charles standing, and the Queen said, standing beside him. And the Queen said, oh, you're from Kenya. How you like about living here? I said, it's great, because my family is here, and people are very nice in Scotland. So she just says, yes, Scotland is beautiful. It was a beautiful moment that time, beautiful moment to see them so close, not even a foot, so close. I felt very proud to be associated and to even meet her for a second, for 2 minutes, 5 minutes during my life.
I think particularly of the Queen arriving with Prince Philip at the opening of the Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games, and Scotland remains very proud of Glasgow 2014.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the head of the Commonwealth, Her Majesty the Queen, accompanied by his...
I think having the opening ceremony in Celtic Park, where it was like a cauldron, and that you just felt the whole thing go, and yes, that was something else. It really, really was.
It was raucous. I mean, she was cheered like a rock star.
I can remember looking up to the screen and this beaming smile coming from Her Majesty, that here she was at the opening of her Commonwealth Games in the very friendly city of Glasgow, and people were there every second of the way.
Over us, God save